Okay, what's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to a Thursday edition of Morning Scone presented by Brock, Batters with Pete Clinic, Hudco Roofing. HudcoRoofing.com, do business with someone you know. Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. I hope your Thursday's off to a fantastic start. Thanks to everybody who hung out last night on Scone and Tea. I had a great crowd. The on-site crowd, people, y'all who keep coming out, awesome. Unfortunately, I didn't get to stay yesterday. Had to hurry home. I'll explain that in a second. But really had a good show, and the people who aren't there, who are watching, our live audiences keep growing, and our on-demand audiences keep growing. So certainly, it's football season. It makes a lot of sense. People are going to be more interested, but we appreciate everybody who hung out last night for Scone and Tea. We did talk last night on Scone and Tea briefly about, I don't even know the guy's name, he's a Notre Dame guy who went on Crane and Company, and he kind of dogged Brian Kelly, and it's gotten a lot of LSU fans' attention, so much so that I briefly mentioned it on AFR. It got even more people's attention after AFR, so then we talked about it at Scone and Tea, and then I woke up this morning and I had tweets and private messages and all saying, hey, I want you to talk about this guy. I'm like, I did yesterday twice, but I figured I'd do it again here for those that missed it. I'll get to that in a second. Well, actually, I'll just get to it right now. There's a guy from Irish Breakdown. I don't know his name, but he was on Crane and Company, and David Scone of Crane and Company asked point blank, do you think Brian Kelly will win a national championship at LSU? The answer was no. You can listen to the comment yourself. Actually, you know what? I think I could play it. Hang on. I'll just play it. Yep, that's what I'll do. I'll play it. Sit tight. Here it is, and
the winningest coach in Notre Dame history. He goes to Louisiana State. The last three head coaches for LSU have won national titles. Will Brian Kelly win a national championship at LSU?
No, he won't. He won't recruit the way he needs to recruit. I don't think he's the coach he was at Grand Valley, the coach he was at Cincinnati. I think that guy is gone. I think he is look, Notre Dame wasn't lacking talent. Notre Dame lacked big game production because Brian Kelly just didn't get those teams ready to play in big games. And I don't think that all of a sudden miraculously changes because he's now in Baton Rouge. I think Notre Dame fit more of his personality. It fit his recruiting base. The most southern place he'd ever coached before Notre Dame was Cincinnati. Notre Dame's the second most southern place he's ever coached. So I don't see the fit, to be honest with you. And, say that's sour grapes, whatever the case may be. But honestly, guys, I was ready for Brian Kelly to be done 2020 because I feel he had taken the program as far as he could, and I don't see him cleaning up that dumpster fire at LSU anytime soon.
Okay, so that's the guy. Brian Driscoll is his name, from Irish Breakdown. There's a huge contradiction. First, he says that Brian Kelly won't recruit at the level he needs to recruit to win a national championship. Then he also says at Notre Dame, the problem wasn't talent. The problem was lack of production in big games. Okay, so let me get this straight. Brian Kelly had the talent to win at Notre Dame, where it is infinitely more difficult to recruit, but just didn't get production out of that talent in big games. Got them to the big games. Got production out of them to get them to the big game, but didn't get production in the big game. And so Brian Kelly won't be able to recruit that level at LSU, but did at Notre Dame, just couldn't maximize it. But he's not going to be able to do it at LSU, where you have a talent-rich state, recent history of 3 national titles, playing for a 4th since 2003, winning a national championship just 3 seasons ago. It's comical. I've said it a bajillion times, and I'll say it again here. And this isn't a Brian Kelly thing. Notre Dame's issue is not a Brian Kelly issue. Brian Kelly did more in that program than any other coach since Lou Holtz. It's not a Brian Kelly issue. It is a Notre Dame issue. That's Notre Dame's problem. Unless and until Notre Dame is willing to invest in their football program to be an elite football program again, they will not be an elite football program. Jesus Christ could be the head coach at Notre Dame. And it wouldn't matter. For all the reasons I've said a bajillion times. There is no talent in the state of Indiana. You want to see top players, you got to get on a plane and fly across the country to go see them. Notre Dame has a very specific niche that it will fit. They don't have athletic dorms. They don't have great facilities. People have to go to that campus and be enamored with the idea of Notre Dame. The Four Horsemen, Newt Rockne, Touchdown Jesus, all that stuff. And some people are. And some young players will be. But not enough to be able to compete with Clemson and Alabama and Ohio State and LSU when you get to a playoff game. Will Notre Dame win a lot of games? Sure. Absolutely. Brian Kelly's left that program in a really good spot. They can win a lot of games. But if you want to win the biggest game, you've got to have a roster that can compete with Bama and Ohio State and Clemson, and they don't and won't unless collectively that university makes a decision that they want to be great in football. And they think they are there. Like internally, Notre Dame thinks they are there, but they're not. And you know it because you see it at LSU. You see it week in and week out in the SEC. You see what it looks like. All Notre Dame people see are Notre Dame. And if it's the greatest place ever, right? 8 national titles, 4 horsemen, Heisman's, all that sort of stuff. Like, why would you change, right? I'm telling you, Notre Dame is its own worst enemy in college football. Notre Dame is its own inhibitor. All right. So I had to leave Scone and Tea yesterday right when the show ended because I had to run home because Erica 2 nights ago had thrown out her back. She was literally in tears. So yesterday morning, she called me. I tried to get her to not go to work, but she went anyway, and she was in tears, and she said, hey, can you please call Crystal and get me in to see her? So I called Crystal. Shout out to Crystal Poche at Restored Motion. She got Erica in yesterday at 1:45, and when I talked to Erica after AFR, it sounded like I was talking to a different person. She's still sore, and it's going to take several sessions to get her right again, but I tell you all about Crystal all the time. I'm appreciative of her. This is an unpaid endorsement. This is not a paid endorsement in any way. I just believe in supporting good people who do great work, and Crystal Poche is among them. So if you've got pain that you're living in, don't do it anymore. Restored Motions, Crystal Poche, book a session. I put the website in the comments. So the link's in the comments. So if you're interested, restoredmotions.com. Just book a session. Give her a shot to get you right. Well, let's say some good mornings here. Quentin Brakebill, Lee Manning, Jason Horn, Blaine Smith. What's going on? Ron Wisnant, Jack Davis. Poor guy was and is not ready for that smoke. Richie Burt, the Notre Dame guy is delusional. It's unfortunate because it's one of those things where you don't know what you don't know. And if you don't know what it takes to win at this level, and Notre Dame has not won a championship since 1988. It's been 34 years. And when you've not won at this level under the current format or under any of the last 3 formats, then clearly what you're doing isn't working. And I'm not sitting here telling you definitively Brian Kelly's going to win a national title. Do I think he will? Yes. Because the last 3 coaches have won national titles, and he's a better coach than the last 2 guys over here. So yes, I think he will. But that's also the expectation here because it's become the expectation over the last 20 years. And what has changed in college sports, in particular college football, is the advantages Notre Dame once had, it no longer has. An 18-year-old kid today who's a 5-star athlete doesn't know anything about Tony Rice. doesn't care. All they know is when they go on a recruiting visit to LSU, their locker is a first-class airplane pod. When they go to Notre Dame, they're going to live in a 60-year-old dorm room with a Kines major from San Mateo. It ain't the same. And it don't suit everybody. And if you thin out the pool of recruits you're fishing in, if you voluntarily thin out your recruiting pool, that's on you. Kenneth Kyle, would you compare Denbrock to Ensminger? In the sense that they're both coaches in their late 50s that have evolved throughout the game and have really smart offensive guys who have smart offensive guys who have sort of seen the game change, with a ton of experience calling plays. Yeah, I think that's fair. I think yesterday we went through Denbrock's time as an OC from Grand Valley State to his first stint at Notre Dame to Cincinnati, and one thing's pretty clear is that each of the eras he's been in, they've had success. It's also clear, in 2014, whenever he became the OC at Notre Dame, they were 28 points, 400 yards, which you'd say, man, I'll take that, but that was kind of middle of the pack nationally. And then his first year at Cincinnati, the first 2 years, they were really bad. But then they hit that gigantic jump year 3 and then year 4. And then last year they were top 10 scoring in total offense. So it was a build, which I think is also encouraging moving forward through these next several years. Richie Bird, can we just call him Notre Dame guy from here on out? Dude doesn't deserve to have his name circulated. And bless his heart, it's not his fault. Like I'm telling you, you don't know what you don't know. But if you don't know something, then keep your mouth shut. That's the real problem. But it all funnels into the mentality that is Notre Dame. And y'all, I'm telling y'all this because I lived it. And I hated it, which is why I left. I hated living in that bubble when I lived there for a year. I was a student at Holy Cross for a year. And it's like so many things are shared. Like we got football tickets to the Notre Dame games. We used the library. We had some classes. We used the workout facilities. Like it was so much of the campuses were interchangeable and shared. So my brother was at Notre Dame. So it was on the campus every single day. And I loathed it. But some people love it. But the people who love it, it's like it's their thing, and they can't imagine anything better, any place better. It's just it's their kind of mecca, and that's the really tough part for Notre Dame is they cannot see their shortcomings because they believe they're the greatest program with the greatest history and the greatest tradition at the greatest school with the greatest academics. Like when you think you're the best at something, then why do you need to change? And that's legitimately what they think. So it can't be us. It's got to be Brian Kelly. That's the mentality, and that is what has kept that glass ceiling on Notre Dame for all this time. Pat Usman, Jed Meir, what's up? Good to see you. I was saying Meyer, I think, for a long time, and Jed came last night. Correct him, he said it's Jed Meir. So, Jed, was great meeting you last night. Thanks so much for saying hi. Really appreciate it. Sorry I had to run out of there really quickly. But normally I stay and hang, but just yesterday, Erica, again, was hurt, so in-laws had Drew, so I had to run and get Drew. So, but thank you for coming. I appreciate it. It was very nice to meet you, man. Joey Vincent, Larry Garner, Dylan Meadows, what's good, man? Brett DeGrow, good morning. Matt cracked open my bottle of Heaven's Door last night. It's good juice? Okay. Which one did you get, Brett? Jesse Brown, good morning. Should we be concerned with Michael Thomas's injury? Nope. From the injury to the season opener, gives him 3 weeks. Man, soft tissue like that, the only thing you do is just stay off of it. So let him let him get right. Samuel Smith, good morning, Matt. Love Drew, but I'm a fairly new listener. Are you willing to share a story of what he was diagnosed with and stuff? Thanks, Drew was awesome. Thank you, Samuel. Boy, I don't think we have enough time this morning. But the very, I guess, long story short is Drew has a rare chromosomal deletion. So he's missing a piece of his 8th chromosome. It's not named. It's not a named condition or anything. But he's missing a piece of his 8th chromosome, which manifests in a lot of physical and cognitive abnormalities. So Drew may look on the outside kind of like a normal kid, but inside he's got a lot going on, and cognitively as well. So, let's see, Travis. But thank you for the kind words, Travis Broussard. Good morning. ND people still think it's 1988 delusional. I can understand how there's some people probably listening to me today thinking, oh, you're just defending your guy. You wouldn't have defended him a year ago before he was the LSU coach. It may not have been, but the conversation wouldn't have been about Brian Kelly a year ago. It would have been the same conversation, though, about Notre Dame. That's why I'm not sitting here defending Brian Kelly. If LSU had hired Lincoln Riley, I'd have told you, I think Lincoln Riley would win a national championship. If LSU had hired Mel Tucker, I'd have told you, I think Mel Tucker would win a national championship. If LSU had hired Billy Napier, I'd have told you, I think Billy Napier would win a national championship. Look at LSU's track record over the last 20 years. Like they've got the skins on the wall to show 3 different coaches have all won a national championship. The next guy should as well. You'll have the resources to do it. So it's not a Brian Kelly thing. The point I'm making is Brian Kelly, it's Marcus Freeman, now Charlie Weiss was just not a good coach, but he's not a good head coach. But that, again, circles back to Notre Dame. They hire a Notre Dame alum. Why? Because it's Notre Dame. Of course you're the best, smartest. Trey Guy, good morning, Matt. What's good? Sorry, have to fade T-Bob. He did it again. What did he do? Leon Williams, what's up? Edward O, got the crabs. Morning, Matthew. Rant on those nasty NDers. Brad David, what do you think of Drew Brees as a commentator? Honestly, he was not great as a color analyst. As a studio analyst, I think, when he would be on Football Night in America, I thought he did a really good job. So doing a live game broadcast is not easy, man. A lot of people work a lot of years to try to get better at that. I'm not saying he will get better if he keeps doing it. But Marlon Curvin, good morning. Brant Webb, I try not to be too judgmental of the ND fan base because I remember how I felt when Saban went to Bama. Well, but Brant, there's a big difference. Saban didn't leave LSU to go to Bama. That's the difference that too many LSU fans don't acknowledge. Nick Saban left LSU to go to the Miami Dolphins. Went to the NFL. Okay. And then when he was leaving the NFL, he went to Alabama because it was the best job open. And I don't blame him. It's worked out. He went to a place that was going to give him resources to win, that had great facilities, history, tradition, SEC, all that stuff. I don't blame him at all. Not one iota. Has it sucked watching a guy that was your coach your division rival to all the success? Absolutely, that sucks. But I also don't blame Nick Saban. I understand why he did what he did. Let's see. Brad David, was Notre Dame so good in the late 80s because of their NBC TV contract? That was a part of it. But also, Lou Holtz was able to get the players there in an era where not everybody was on TV. There was the allure of Notre Dame still, Touchdown Jesus, Four Horsemen, all that sort of stuff, which has faded. When you don't win in over 30 years, that fades. Taylor Castanier, Matt, does it concern you that Daniels, being a 3-year starter, can't seem to pull away from Nuss in the quarterback competition? or has Daniel solidified himself? Brian Kelly isn't announcing it yet. No, I don't think so. I think you got two really good options, man. I think both have been really good. I don't necessarily think that's a concern. Some of the things I think that you worry about with Nuss, for example, you probably won't see until they tee it up and kick it off for real, and that's okay. The gunslinger, does he turn the ball over, all that stuff. But no, I don't think that's a problem. I think that's encouraging. You got two guys that you feel could play and could win for you. Devin Kelly, holy crap, I feel old and older than Notre Dame's last natty. Mark Allen, I wonder what his DMs look like in the next few days. LSU fans can be ruthless. That's if he's got them open. Spurge, what's good? Weston Weaver, good morning. I know this may take some thought. I saw a post the other day. All-time top 10 LSU football players. Curious should be your all-time top 5. I start with Burrow and Billy Cannon. After that, open anybody's interpretation. We talking physically like the best players or who had the best career? I mean, there's a lot of different ways to define it. Right. You think the Will Wade comments on the basketball facilities shed light on the situations? What do you mean, did it shed light? I mean, of course, he talked about it. That's the definition of shedding light. It's bringing something into the open, which he did. Does it change things? Hope so. Trey Fisher, what's up? Brian Broom, Brant Roban, Rode U, Ryan Amanda Guidry, Bill Schmidt, Todd Harris. Hey, Dad, good morning. Thad Landry. David Coslin, Glenn Thomasy, Michael Thacker. What's the ceiling for Notre Dame with Freeman? Look, the ceiling for Notre Dame is what it's been. I mean, Brian Kelly showed you. You get the right coach, you can be good enough to win against your schedule and be an undefeated or one-loss team and get into a playoff. But until they allow their coach to recruit 85 players on the roster that, I hate to say it this way, are football players first, but ain't going. You've seen what the ceiling is. Rosie, good morning. 7:53. A couple more minutes, y'all. Let's see, Dalton. I saw you talk about the guy from Irish Breakdown. I couldn't agree more. He talked about how Brian Kelly wasn't good at Notre Dame, and then the same breath said they deserve a number 5 poll ranking because of recent success. Kind of contradicting yourself. Yes. Himself, yes. Brian Arsenault, missed you and T-Bob last night. What inappropriate comment did he say? The TikTok and Instagram reel are up. If you would like to see it, it's there. He's good for one a show. Michael Richard, good morning, Mr. Mike. Mr. Matt, actually, not Mike, but all good happens. I do have an Uncle Mike. What about Michael Thomas missing all these practices? Not concerned, just get ready to roll for the opener. Charlie Cavell. Let's see, Seth Dore, Craig Duga, almost time, guys and gals. It's that time of year again. It's exciting. Almost basketball season boot up. My guy Craig, always ready for it. Craig Duga, Will Wade may be gone, but the least you do is keep thanks, bud. Appreciate it in the rotation. Yeah, I think we'll bring it back. I don't even like the one. Musso replaced it with me saying I am sweating, and I don't like that because, I don't care if it's something that's self-deprecating. It's just that all of the drops are not us talking. Like Musso's drop is the song, Paul's drop is the Paul O'Neill chant, mine are the Shaq ones. Like, I don't like the I am sweating because it's me saying it. Anyway. Richard Tilley Sr., good morning. Charlie Cavell, how long do you think it'll take Brian Kelly to get LSU back in a national championship conversation? Well, it can happen sooner now because of transfer portal, but I think 3 years is realistic. By his third season, I think you would have put together 3 recruiting classes, also with the transfer portal, and you should have built up enough culture to where the roster is yours and the program is yours. And Look, I mean, Ed did it in year 3. Les did it in year 3. Saban was year 4 when he won it here. Urban Meyer at Florida was year 2 in 06. Dabo's kind of the exception whenever it takes you, almost a decade to build it up and get it there and then get over the hump. So, yeah, I mean, I think by year 3 is really when you should be looking at it. All right, a couple more. As always, shout out to Brock, Yellow Banners Orthopedic Clinic, Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. Do business with someone you know, Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. Where are we? Chad Vicknair, Brad David, Shrimp and Grits y'all had last night looked really good. It was really good. Trivia Carter, what's up? Ronnie yesterday was saying Saban went to Independence Bowl first year at Bama. Oh yeah, when they lost to ULM. Gulf South, when Saban left the Dolphins, was any other school a legit contender to hire him, or was it only Bama? He only left because Mal Moore at Bama just kept coming back to him. And he wanted out of Miami, but it wasn't like, if you remember, that was 07, and Alabama's first choice was Rich Rod, and Rich Rod chose to stay at West Virginia. Alabama tried to hire Rich Rodriguez, and Rich Rodriguez turned Alabama down, and then ultimately they went after Saban, and Mal Moore just didn't take no for an answer from Saban. So I don't think Saban would have left the Dolphins for a lesser job. He didn't get fired, remember? Just he had the opportunity to go to Bama. All right, y'all. 7:58. I got to get going. Got to get Drew up, get him out the house. Cody Kibidu, thoughts on the 2 new coaches Jay Johnson brought in? I think they're both awesome and going to do really, really well. Any update on when and who Brian Kelly will name QB1? He said he'll make a decision. They'll make a decision this weekend and let us know either Monday or Tuesday. Remember the Brian Kelly. Oh, by the way, Brian Kelly coaches show, radio show is tonight, and first coaches show is tonight, and then of course his game week press conference will be Monday. So, Gulf South, Rich Rod became the guy I hate most in college football. But remember, Rich Rod and West Virginia lost to Pitt in 07 on that day when LSU won the SEC championship against Tennessee, which allowed LSU to get in the natty. So Rich Rod being inept and losing to Pitt with a championship game appearance on the line was actually beneficial to LSU. Yeah, please smash the like button. 148 watching. I appreciate y'all. Smash the like button. Facebook, please like the page, share the post if you haven't done so yet. As always, shout out to Brock, Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic. You need an orthopedist, you go to Brock. Need a roof, call Hudco, Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. Okay, I got to get rolling because I got to get Drew up, get him out to school. Thank y'all so much for watching. Y'all have an awesome day. LSU Daily is live. And we will see you for AFR at 3. Peace.